Toby, how have things been? How's the trip so far, and acclimatizing to a foreign place?
Well, it's not as warm as it was last time yet, but there is 35 degrees scheduled for next week for Monday, Tuesday, and Pretoria is hotter as well. So, yeah, I mean, obviously it's probably a little bit more graduated than it was the last time we were here. We've learnt a few lessons on preparation on day one in particular, because we probably misread that the last time we were here. So, every day is a learning day. So, yeah, we've implemented those things, and, having the Ospreys under 23s out here is obviously good fun. So they enjoy a lot. For some of them, it's a hell of a new experience. So it provides opportunity, which is exciting.
Two things you said there. First, about the acclimatization, that it's a very difficult one to nail, isn't there? Because there's a school of thought where you fly in and fly out, but or you come early. It's a difficult one.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Simon Church is obviously our head of physical performance in that respect, and obviously from my own sports science background, as you say, and also there's the human factor. People react differently to it, so we feel that the acclimatization at altitude is too short to have a training effect. And obviously, we know it's going to be difficult, and we found that before. We also took the feedback from the boys that were here last time when we went to the Lions. The other side of it is we're familiar with these surroundings. We're out the way. We know what the conditions, the facilities are. We know the flow of it, so we can perform properly in a more known environment. And there's a lot less distractions kicking around, which is good.
The second thing there, you mentioned the Ospreys under 23 is alluding.
I know,
to
I'm being facetious.
No, I know, I get that, but alluding to the vast amount of absentees you've got away with Wales. I hate the phrase "it is what it is," but how unfortunate is the fact that you have to go on what is a challenge in itself if you had all of your players, but you have to do it when it coincides with the autumn ints. It doesn't seem to be any way of rectifying it.
Well, the only people that can rectify is the scheduling people, right? So, whoever they are and wherever they are. So, I mean, last year we flew them out. It was Six Nations time, and we flew them out for one game, which we performed. It didn't stop the outcome, but we performed well, and that gave us a springboard into the final part of our season. So, as we know, professional sports are about momentum as well, right? However, we know that we talk about being ready, whoever it is and whenever it is, and we'll be able to test whether these youngsters are actually ready. I mean, I say youngsters, and some of the youngsters, as I'm sure are with Wales as well. So that's a reflection that we're doing a lot right as a programme. But we want to be competitive and as a region, and having the availability that we have, I think it works out. If you look at enforced rest and whatever, we'd probably get just above half of our games we've had people to select from so far, which makes things challenging. We've still been very competitive, all by the Ulster game so far. And I love the energy that the youngsters give us, and it gives us in a 2-week window, and we've spoken about this 2-week window, the opportunity it gives us to get players further down the track individually. And although it might not be perfect and we have to simplify things, that's a good thing from coaches' point of view as well. It means that we can spend a lot of time, as we've done through November, about improving parts of our game and the individuals that are in it. So what we lose in the immediate, hopefully we gain in the long term.
It doesn't get any more difficult than the Bulls at Loftus. Every South African team, of course, physical. Are they the most physical of physical South African sides in terms of the way they play? Third in the league. They seems to be, of what I've seen over the last 2 seasons, they've seemed to play a bit less than the likes of the Stormers, perhaps the Sharks.
I think if I'd be doing the Sharks a disservice if I said straight away they were the most physical, because obviously in relation to teams at full strength, the Sharks for me, on witness, have been very, very physical. So, but I think those two are certainly the most physical, let's put it like that. And we've got the most physical challenge, and we've spoken about it. It's not something we're shying away from. The most physical challenge in these 2 weeks, having those two teams. So, yeah, as I said, even though we're obviously very focused on where we're going, there's a lot of similarities in both weeks, and we need to adopt things that's going to serve us well for both weeks. So, and concentrate on ourselves. So, yeah, that's the biggest challenge for us, without doubt, the physicality for sure.
The other side of the coin, obviously, the region, proud, obviously, to see so many representing them on Wales duty. 9, I think, are starting. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but there's up to 15 in the squad. Can I ask you about Joe Hawkins? A huge moment for Joe. Such promise, and a huge chance for him to shine on the biggest stage.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a reflection of Joe himself. He's a very driven individual, a very coachable individual as well, very mature for such a young person. I mean, this is the start of also my 3rd season, and it was very evident even at 18 that this young man had a little bit different to a lot of that I've seen. And obviously I've coached a lot of similar players, say Jonathan Joseph, for example, when I was at London Irish, and both at the same age, different types of players, but Anthony Watson and people like that. So you can see certain attributes in people that look like they're going to be slightly a cut above the rest, right? So Joe certainly showed that, the speed that he learned at, how driven he was. And if you look at the under-20s, there's some under-20s, post-under-20s, there's some footage on Twitter, for example, of, he'd been back a week and he was out doing his running and his preparation. He's a very driven young man. So I'm always delighted for whoever it is, and it happens to be Joe this time. It's been Jack Morgan before. Rhys Davis is locking around the corner, Dowie Lake. So we've got a lot of those type of players, and they've crafted an opportunity. It doesn't matter how the opportunity comes along. You've got the opportunity, and I know Joe will be a person that will certainly grab it at both hands, because he's that sort of player. He's got very good skills, very physical for a young man as well. Got a big body, and a good brain. But as we all know, he's still young, so he's got a lot of progress, which is the exciting thing to do. But we're just delighted, for all of us at the Ospreys, are just delighted for him and his family to see him out there.
Is he the kind of second 5'8" that you and Wales might be striving to get? He is a ball player, but he's strong as well. I've seen tries for the Ospreys. I remember one against Connacht where he took it up the middle. He's done that for the under-20s. Those kind of 12s are worth their weight in gold, aren't they? Not trying to build him up too much yet, sure, because it's a tough learning curve, as you say. But that kind of player, you see a lot of that in him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the fact that he's played 10 for us, and we've deliberately put him in stressful positions, right? He started games for us at 10 pre-season. He fills in at 10 a lot in relation to training. That 10-12 double playmaker, as you talk about, a lot of attack now is based around second receiver plays, right? Because there's a lot of game management and second receiver plays. So I think it's less about shirt numbers. I know people get caught up in shirt numbers. It's all about attributes. You need enough power and enough guile, if you like, to create space in what is a very congested game at the moment in relation to defence. So I think that Joe, as you say, has a very, I suppose unique in a way, because that having both attributes often isn't normal, isn't common. He reminds me of Salala Mapasua, who I had at London Irish for a lot, who's now the head coach of Samoa. He had both. He had both that ball playing ability and the physicality, which is unusual, because normally it's one or the other.
Just a final one on this South African trip, Toby. You want 2 wins, obviously. But what else are you hoping to see, given the task at hand and given what happened last year out in South Africa?
Look, we understand how difficult it is. We know that physically, a lot of these boys are not going to be exposed to the physical power that they've been exposed to here, and we're excited to see how people deal with that and the attitude towards it. So there's the first thing. The second thing is, we've talked about us being us and performing to the best of our ability. We can't be better than what we are. And what I mean that individually and collectively. So if we do that well, we'll be in the contest, as we've been in all contests bar one. And if we do that and give a good account of ourselves, we can hold our head up high and be proud of what we've done. But yeah, we're here to win for sure. And whoever puts on that shirt enjoys that responsibility. So we'll see where that takes us.
Toby, what do you think of a situation that sees you in South Africa taking on the Bulls minus 15 international players and probably a lot more injured guys?
It might be a different conversation if we were in the pub, Mark. But no, obviously from that point of view, look, as we said previously, it is what it is. It's a reflection on, I suppose, our programme from a positive point of view. And there'll be some people out there that talk about, well, you know, the big picture where Wales are, and is that actually a good thing? We can't control that. All we control is, you know, the numbers, and people pick people, whoever they are, they think they're good enough and available to do the job. As you say, what I think about it, I think it's that the people that organise these things will talk about reasons we have playoffs is to make up for these sort of things. I think there's the integrity of the competition is difficult enough with so many, you know, convoluted blocks, etc. But that's what's presented in front of us. So we'll grab it with both hands and do what we can.
Now, have you been watching the internationals, Toby, from afar, perhaps, or I
yeah,
presume you saw the
I sit there with my fingers crossed every week, you know, just to make sure that everyone gets through. Obviously, we're devastated about Dan Lydiate, for example. But you know, it's not new that, you know, people get injured whilst away on international duty. And we want our players to represent their country for sure. So we'd never, you know, stand in the way in that. And part of our planning is to try and make them in the optimum physical conditions and able to thrive when they get the opportunity. So I think it's a difficult thing to manage, and I can just commend the staff that obviously do that, and the coaching that they've received is a reflection on how good that the program they've been in, and also it gives the opportunity to the next people along, you know, that are coming around. So as I said, we just try and stay in the what we can control part of it. Whether that's right, whether there needs greater collaboration, whether things need to be joined up between the whole of Welsh rugby, that's not a conversation for now. But I think there's certainly some improvement that can be done for sure.
You must be pleased, you know, at the efforts of Jack Morgan in the two games he played. He's done really well.
Yeah, exactly, and you know, he's gone exceptionally well. Obviously, getting on the score sheet as well, and it's quite interesting what you talked about watching it. When we were watching it, you know, when the boys were watching it on the bus to the airport, and to see Jack, you know, perform well, and you know, got good cheers, and it shows that there's a good team spirit between, you know, all of our boys, that they want our players to do well, and Wales, of course. But you know, there's special there's a special mention for people that are out there, and I'm sure that'll be to Joe this weekend, who's back out there. Gareth Hanscom's going back out there, which is good. Alan Wynne-Jones is back out there. It doesn't matter how old they are; they represent us, and you know, we're delighted to see them out there.
Yeah, you're optimistic and confident, you know, that Alan Wynne will be able to respond to some of the questions that have been asked of him, or about him, shall we say, over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
People take easy shots on things that they don't know very much about, to be fair, and the person that knows where Alan is me before he went in there, and he was probably one of our most consistent players. People can talk about whether that's enough for international rugby player. He's playing exceptionally well for us, and Wayne's picked him for a reason. So no coach in the world picks someone who they think isn't capable. So ultimately, that's the responsibility of the coach. So if he's picked him, he's good enough.
So with your second row situation, really, you know, you've got Alan Wynne, you've got Adam Beard, you've got Rhys Davis away with Wales. I guess you're going to need Bradley. I don't know how fit Bradley is, match fit. You're going to need him to front up and a lot of these young players as well. You know, you're going to really need them to step forward.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Will Griff's in that mix as well. You know, missing, injured, long-term injured. So we're 4 down in that respect. So, but if there is a positive to that Jack Regan's timing is good. So Jack Regan is fit. So we've got him. Hugh Sutton's coming on nicely. It's going to be a big test for him as a line-out caller. Bradley, as you talk about, and we brought James Fender back from Pirates as a youngster for, you know, to give us a little bit of depth. But having 4 of your frontline second rows not available is far from ideal. But as I said, that's what we've got, so that's what we'll do.
Is Lewis a boy with a future? You know, Lewis Jones.
Yeah, he's with us. Obviously, you know, younger, especially in relation to body age. I think he's got a lot of growing into the body, his body, especially if you look at his father. You know, he's got quite a lot of growing to do, which is exciting. He's getting to use, and it's really easy to talk about. Oh, they played under 20s and they did that, and there's especially for a type 5 forward that then gets hit by grown men physically in the position that they're in repeatedly. You know, it takes a lot of, you know, getting used to and building up that durability to be able to get off the floor after being hit. And, you know, that's a natural, I suppose, evolution and adjustment that your bodies make through time, especially in that position. So, yeah, he's been out and been exposed to more and more of that throughout the year. We've brought him along here for some experience, for sure. And to get in the senior training environment to supplement the games he's been playing for Swansea. And yeah, we'll see how he goes. Like a number of those boys, they flick between 2 programs because we've got to grow our own players. And in order to grow our own players, we need them to play, and we need them to play so we can assess them and make their programs better.
And is there any news on the likes of Dewi Lake, Dan Lydiate, Dan Evans, maybe Sam Moore, Harry Morgan, these guys?
So anyone that was fit, bar 2, well, I think it's 1, yeah, bar 2 academy players have travelled. Anyone that's fit. So that group that you've seen, they're the only players that we've got, right? So from that point of view, and we had to bring somebody in to supplement the front row. So that's the situation we find ourselves in. You know, we could have done with Nicky Smith, but obviously he's not around. And obviously, you know, and he's obviously been not included, but there's lots of our forwards that are away. So we understand that. Sorry, I lost your question, Mark. What was I talking about?
Yeah, no, I basically was looking for some kind of update on the likes.
Oh yeah, injuries. That's right. Yeah. So So Harry Morgan has trained before we got it. Probably came a week too soon for him, and the fact we've still got 3 fit 9, so he's fit. Sam Moore's not fit, so he's not fit to travel. Anybody else? Steve Myler and Dewi Lake look like they might make hopefully make the Christmas derbies. Hopefully, we're hoping back to that for that. Dan Lydiate's out for a while. He's basically broken his arm, so he'll be out for some time, as you know about Will Griff. Anybody else? Dan Evans, yeah, he's had an operation on his hip, so he won't be around until post Six Nations, I wouldn't have thought.
Right.
I think that's it. Matt Prothero's fit. He's obviously with us.
With Dan, he's obviously got a broken arm. Is that? Have you got any kind of return date on that?
No, it depends. Obviously, if it needs plating or so, and obviously that's gone on since I've been here. So the medical team are dealing with that. I'm dealing with obviously the day-to-day here. Breaks are normally somewhere between, especially from as an arm brace, normally somewhere between 8 to 12 weeks normally. So that gives you sort of some approximate time frame.
Yeah, Dewi seems that seems quite a positive update, but of course hooker is an area where you've got a lot of strength and depth anyway.
Well, it didn't require surgery, so that's the main thing, right? So once the S word is used, you normally start at 3 months. So that's a rule of thumb. So there wasn't any surgery. So hopefully, you know, it's less than that, and that gives you, the best chance for sure.